Here we are. Okay, let's climb. So let's place the feet wide apart. And I want you to use your fingers and your wrists and stretch up, bend the corresponding knee and grab that apple from the tree and side to side, letting the head go side to side. So try not to look up, straining the neck, just let the head loll side to side. And let's start to breathe a little bit more deeply. Really stretching and release along the spine, the side of the body. Great, once more each side. And then we'll clasp the hands to stretch the back of the body. Fabulous. Interlace the fingers. Soften the knees and take like a beach ball shape out in front of you, chin to chest. And separate the shoulder blades and let the head hang. This can take a little bit of concentration to actually let your head hang. Just feel the heaviness of the head, softening the knees and just feeling where you can find release down the back of the spine by changing the angle behind the knees, how much we roll forwards. Heavy head, shoulder blades separating. Now standing up, let's work into the wrists. Turn the palms to face me, just so we get a gentle stretch, no forcing it in the wrists, the fingers. And then we're going to clasp the hands behind the back, roll the shoulders back and down. Try and keep the heels of the hands together, chest wide open. And again, let's take that focus to the head. So taking the head in nice, gentle circle, make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Nice soft jaw, nice soft circles. We're drawing the hands away from the bottom, shoulders down, away from the ears. If you find a spot where you have increased sensations, pause there and breathe into it. Try in both directions. Keep rolling the shoulders back. Chest wide open, a big wide smile. And we're going to take a pyramid stance and warm up the hips. So let's start with pointing both sets of knees over to the right. Knees tracking forwards, hips square. Now the leg that's in front, take the corresponding arm around to support the lower back. And let's lift the other arm. Breathing in deeply, we're reaching up to the ceiling. Now tilt the pelvis under with the help. This is this kind of the sensory reminder to tilt the pelvis, and hopefully you're getting a hip flexor stretch on the front of the back leg. Breathing in, reaching into the fingertips. You can play with lifting the back heel as long as you're balanced. If you look directly in front of you, eye level, we've got a nice long spine, long neck. Few more breaths, just reaching up to the ceiling, tilting the pelvis under. I always feel like you're trying to find space in between each rib and along this side of the spine. It's almost creating a little bit of extra space for the kidneys. No lower back arching, we're reaching up to the ceiling. A little bit of a side bend, up and over the head with the same arm. Reaching, squeezing the glutes, tilting the pelvis. And we're going to take a little knee bend. So we want the knees tracking over the toes. They're hopefully still there, everything's square to the front. So reaching the same arm still up to the ceiling. Soften, so it's more of a pelvic tilt. And we're dipping the knee down. Doesn't have to go all the way to the floor. Just feeling the stretch going down into the quads, still into the hip flexors, still fingertips reaching up to the ceiling. Just want you to feel that knee bend because we'll be taking that in a moment. Deep stretch up into the fingertips. And now lower the back heel, both legs straight. We're going to lift both arms up to the ceiling and take a forward fold. Now we haven't stretched the backs of the legs, so go nice and easy, and you can soften the knees if you wish. Floating flat back, see where you get to with a flat back. So rather than folding all the way down to the knee, just reaching into the fingertips, the feet stretching the mat apart, tummy bottom back to the spine, press into the floor and back up to standing. Squeeze the glutes, and last time,
As you breathe out, shoulders back and down. Any niggles in your shoulders can soften. We can hold the shoulders, support the shoulders, but keep that long spine, long neck, starting to feel a little bit more of a stretch in the backs of the legs, no forcing. Stabilizing muscles of the core, working to stop you from wobbling side to side, and then pressing up to standing, shrugging out the shoulders, and we're taking it over to the other side. So toes pointing in the other direction, square up the hips to the side, and let's find that pelvic tilt. With the help of the opposite hand, we're pushing that bottom cheek down. We'll lift your arm and just finding a stretch initially, focusing on the crease at the top of this leg, stretching into the fingertips. Shoulders are down, so it's that same thing yesterday we were talking about, how we keep the arms strong in a plank, a down dog position. We're pressing up into the hand, but the shoulders stabilize down, and then we've got that wide open smile across the chest. One more breath here. Again, you can lift the back heel to play with that compromise between tucking the bottom under, lifting the heel, keeping this back leg straight, and the bottom tucking under to find the best stretch with a little bit of a side bend. Up and overhead, breathing deeply, stretching into the fingertips. We're going to take that bend into the knees. So standing tall, deep breath in, and we bend the knee, tilting the pelvis more. So the body maintains that vertical line, bottom tucked, working into these quads, knees pointing forwards, chest, hips square to the front. And we're going to take that fold, pyramid fold. So let's lift both arms, square up the hips, bottom slightly tucked, and we're coming to that partial fold because this is the first big stretch for the back of this leg. And we're just engaging, pulling the front ribs together. Feel like you're pulling these hip points together, so there's an engagement in the lower abs. Breathing deeply, squeezing the glutes, reaching into the fingers, and come up to stand. And we've just got one more of these. Roll the shoulders back and down, relax. Breathe in, and we fold. So the hip crease of the leg that's in front, you're pulling that back to keep the hips square. Maybe we take it a little bit deeper. We're reaching into the fingertips, the sit bones reaching the wall behind, pulling in the core, strong corset pulling in around your waist, and then back up to standing. Float the arms down, and then just take a couple of kickbacks to release the backs of the legs. We're taking a goddess stance with the legs wide, toes turning out, and let's just feel a bit of opening in a thigh stretch just to get warmed up. Arms overhead, stretch. As you breathe out, come to this goddess victory pose, shoulders back and down, spread the fingers, and breathe in, back up to standing. Breathe out like you're brushing up against a wall, keeping the hands, the backs of the hands reaching the wall behind, pressing into the floor to stand up tall, really squeeze and lengthen, and down. Last time like this, and then we're going to take a little bit of a twist. So as we stand tall, we're pivoting on the back foot, and we're coming to that pyramid stance, and the same arms and knees bend. So this is where it's fine. Come back to the front, and we go to the other side after we take this symmetrical position here, and then over to the other side. So knees point to the side of the wall. No need to come all the way down to the floor. We're just getting out strong work into the legs with nice alignment. Get the breath going with the movement. Notice how we make sure we've got the nice alignment. The feet, knees are in the right position before we take a bend. So the knees are always tracking over the toes. I'm always going on about this, but we want to protect the knees. We're going to take one last set, and then hopefully the body's warm enough. We're going to take just one round of Surya Namaskar. It's the classic Series A. But we'll just add on one little crescent stretch in each phase. Amazing. Let's shrug out the shoulders. So as usual, my head will disappear probably because I'm going to turn the camera around. So come and stand at the front of your space. So remember, any niggles in your wrists will make fists, keeping a nice line from your forearm into your hands, otherwise the normal position. Okay, take a moment, hip distance apart with the feet, tilt the pelvis, pull in those core muscles and draw the fingertips down to the earth. Take a deep breath in, opening overhead, look up and stretch. Take a breath out to swan dive the arms down and fold. Pause here for a moment. Let the head hang. Feel the weight coming as much into the toes as the heels. So that means rocking a little bit forwards and backwards. Take a moment to lift the toes, spread the toes, and then plant them, grip, so that we're strengthening those muscles in the arch of the feet. Nice deep breath here. The halfway lift. Fingertips to the floor or to the shins, create that shelf along the spine. Almost like you're pushing into the floor or the shins to look over the edge of a bank into a lake. Nice long neck. We're stepping the right foot back into a lunge. Now we can lower the knee and release the toes, floating the arms up. Now remember that pelvic tilt we were doing with the pyramid? Let's try and maintain that sense of tucking the tailbone under and think about the upper back arching back. So we're working against any rounding of the shoulders from sitting at a desk, watching TV. Deep breath in, hands to the floor or fists to the floor. Tuck the toes under at the back and take a plank. We're either in a high plank or the knees down. Let's take a moment to squeeze the glutes and be the longest you can be from the tailbone to the crown of the head. So shoulders down. And now have this sense of pressing into the floor, yet the shoulders, the humeral head's well planted into the shoulders, and we feel that smile across the collarbone. So we're broad across the chest, but there's some engagement between the shoulder blades. If your knees are down, we can go ahead and bend the elbows into the waist. If chaturanga is your practice, roll onto the toes and see if we can get the elbows brushing the waist on the way down. Rolling the shoulders back, we'll take a baby cobra here. Elbows are into the waist, shoulders down, neck long. We're looking down at the floor. Pointing the toes away, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, the pubic bone into the floor. Either roll on the toes or tuck the toes to take it back to down dog. Pause here for a moment. We can pedal it through from one foot to the other. Remember, we're only doing one round, one set each side. So you can afford to really breathe into a full stretch as long as you're not forcing. We're stepping the right foot forwards to bend the knees, crouch, either hold the back of the knee or just step, help it into place. Lower your back knee, release the toes, sweep the parallel arms up in front of you. Again, protect your lower back. Pressing down through that bottom cheek and lengthening, chest open wide here. Breathing deeply. We're going to come into our forward fold. Hands to the floor, tuck your toes under at the back. See if you can, light as you can, lift and place your foot at the front. Press into the floor. We're standing tall, arms overhead. Reach, stretch, squeeze the glutes. Hands meet in prayer and they come down to heart center. We're doing the same thing on the other side. So breathe in, we're leading with the other leg this time. Breathe in, stretching up to the ceiling and pressing down into the floor. Swan dive the arms down so we have that connection between the shoulder blades all the way down to our forward fold. Drop the head and take a recovery breath here. On the next inhalation, think about a flat back, parallel to the floor, shoulders down. We have that core engagement, long spine, long neck. Chin slightly in towards the chest. And we're stepping your other foot back. So whichever one you led with last time, it's the other foot stepping back, lowering the knee and releasing the toe. Remember, we're keeping the pelvis tilted.
So no strain in the lower back. We're working further on that hip release of the back leg, reaching overhead, hands down, step back to a plank. It's either a high plank or the knees down, but still it's a long line from the knees to the crown of the head. We can release the toes at the top. Chaturanga people, adjust forwards onto your tiptoes and float past chaturanga through to a baby cobra or full up dog. Anyone else with me in the knee plank? Elbows bend into the waist. This means the elbow creases are pointing forwards, down to the belly. Hands stay under the shoulders, and we take a spine extension. So if you can grip into the floor as if you're trying to draw your chest through your shoulders. Press the pubic bone into the floor, point the toes, squeeze the glutes, down dog. Either rolling on the toes or tuck the toes and find your down dog. So here we're stretching in all directions, feeling that length in the spine, along the backs of the legs. And really feel you're creating space in between each vertebra in that lower spine. So we're working against any compression, any height loss, obviously dear to my heart. And then in all directions, we're getting ready to step your left foot forward. So lift the heels high, bend the knees so we're crouching low. Look where you want to place the foot. Even if it doesn't get there first time, we can help it, lift it and place it there. Last crescent, knee down, release your toes at the back, and then lift through the fingers. You can keep your hands on the hips if that feels more secure. Shoulders back and down. It's actually quite nice to assist that pelvic tilt, and you can even deepen the stretch in the hip flexors. We're nearly ready for our forward fold last time. Hands to the floor, tuck your toes, and when you're ready, light as a feather, lift, place, chest is on the thighs, straightening up the legs, reverse swan diving the arms, open wide overhead, hands meet, and come to heart center. You've done all your standing work. We're down to the mat. Let's take a roll down. Enjoy this. A nice little gorilla sway. Soft knees. Shake out the head. Swing around the feet. And let's find the floor. I'm going to get you to roll onto your left hand side. We'll do a little bit of side work first. If this is a niggle for your shoulder staying upright, rest the head on the upper arm. Otherwise, gives us a good opportunity to work the obliques here. Shoulders down. Now, inner thighs are going to work here. Be prepared. We're tilting the pelvis under so your core's engaged and the knees are floating up. See, they're in this kind of clam setup. So there's air under here. Can you see? Knees and ankles are lifted. Now, try to feel that the top leg is a dead weight. And you'll feel your inner thigh, that lower leg, switch on really strongly. So concentrating on that, really give in this weight, make this really heavy so that the lower leg is supporting the weight of the top leg. And pelvis tilting, core engaged, long spine, long neck. You can check that your obliques are switched on from this position. Every now and then you'll just have to remind yourself to let this top leg be heavy. We're just taking 5 pulses up with a breath. Breathe in as you breathe out. Really feel a weight of that top leg. Breathe in, partially lower. 4 more. Breathing out, work the inner thighs with a flat back or neutral spine, no sticking the bottom out. Breathe into lower at the pace of your breath, but it's the out breath phase where the obliques, these top obliques are helping to lift the thighs. Heavy top leg, are you feeling that in your inner thigh? Chest wide open, let's try not to collapse into the shoulder if you're in this lifted position. We've got 1 more and then we're going to extend the legs and we're working your top leg. Now it's been so lazy, time for it to pull its weight. Extend the legs, we're in a long line, bottom tucked, squeeze the glutes and lengthen. Again, your head can be on your upper arm. We take the top leg hip distance apart, core still lightly engaged, bend the knee so it comes forwards, it's still parallel to the floor. Now lift the knee up to the ceiling.
forwards, and extend. So let's see if we can keep it parallel to the floor. We're keeping the chest wide open. So here we're destabilizing the body massively with this long lever which is moving. So we need to keep the core strong and try to slow the movement down so that we can reduce, anticipate, engage muscles so that we avoid kind of any wavering in the upper body. You're doing well. Give me 2 more on this side. And wherever you feel, it's sometimes quite satisfying to feel these muscles working. Maybe you just need to remind your shoulders to stay nicely relaxed, your neck. Amazing. Let's do our belly work first. Lying on the belly, fingertip, hands out wide, shoulder height, forehead to the floor. Squeeze the glutes, point the toes, breathe in. As you breathe out, press into the fingertips and squeeze the glutes, lengthening up. Can you feel the shoulder blades coming together and lowering down? And squeeze the shoulder blades together and down, the glutes strong, the whole posterior chain really working hard here. Keeping the neck long. Nice, easy flow. Now, if this is relatively straightforward for you, you can take floating cobra, the hands up, you won't come as far, but you're working solely with the muscles on the back of the body. Last couple of times, we'll take a child pose and then we'll be onto the other side for that inner thigh work. And then that modified passe work for opening the top hip. Last time, come up, squeeze the glutes, press the tops of the feet into the floor, shoulders are back and down, elbows into the waist, chin into the neck. Well done. Take a child pose, press back and allow the lower spine to melt down, soften, and feel a release over your thighs. Take your time to roll up. We're onto the other side. Let's start with the inner thigh. In an upright position or lying down, you choose. Neutral spine, bend the knees in front of the body, and long neck. Let's lift the knees. And it'll take a little bit of time to allow heaviness to come into the top leg, and you can check inner thigh, steel there. Feel engagement in the core, and we'll lift, squeeze, so your obliques working, and throughout we're strengthening those inner thighs. So where we sometimes have niggles in the knees, or any hip alignment niggles, it's really good to work the inner thighs. They're often overlooked because our daily activity is so much, concentrates so much on strengthening the outer front and backs of the legs. So it's really good, challenging to work those inner thighs. Keep going, working with the out breath. It's kind of a really strong phase of the breath because we'll naturally draw the core in with that out breath. Last couple, and then we'll extend the legs. You're doing well. Long spine, long neck. See if we can avoid collapsing. I'm starting to collapse. And long spine, long neck. Brilliant. Extend the legs. Float the top leg so that the hips up, stack, knees, ankles. Legs stays parallel to the floor. Bend the knees in towards the chest. Knee up to the ceiling. And now rolling back is what will happen if we don't engage the core. A deliberate mistake. Knee comes forwards and extends. So concentrating, core muscles engaged, long spine, long neck, knee comes forwards. And open, squeezing the glutes here to get that hip opening. Nice, slow, gliding, controlled movement. Always with that neutral spine, that bottom tucked under. Long through the tailbone. Every now and then, just make sure you're not clenching the jaw, holding tension in the neck, hold the head where it's going to be comfortable. You're nearly there. Last couple on this side, and then we're onto our backs. Wonderful. Last one, and then roll onto your spine, and we'll hug the knees into the chest.
Some of you doing that already. And that's fine. Extend the legs, roll onto your back and take a moment to rock on the spine. Open V to modified boat. Are we ready? Feet, ankles in line with the knees, core engaged, lower spine engaged. Let's start just with the open V. Breathe in, open knees and ankles wide. Breathing out, returning. Your hands are on your belly, you'll feel the core engaging. Let's keep the shoulders down, chins tucked into the chest. Remember, if I run my finger down the back of your neck, no extra bulges of soft tissue there. Nice long back of the neck. Relaxing movement with breath. So we're going to open with the in-breath. And as we breathe out, knees come together and extend in a modified boat. So we breathe in to open. We're adding on that leg extension. More of a challenge. Legs come lower. Less of a challenge. Feet towards the ceiling. Still try to keep movement with the breath. So we'll pitch the angle, how obtuse this angle is, by how far we can keep that engagement in the core and avoid arching the lower back. A couple more like this, and then we'll add on an optional oblique twist. So we can leave the head on the floor if there's any niggles in your neck. But otherwise, we'll hold the head in the hands. And after the open V, and we extend, we'll curl up, opposite elbow to knee, switch, opposite elbow to knee, extend and lower, and we carry on. So breathing into an open V, breathing out as we curl up and extend, taking that twist, taking a twist to the other side, and we return. So, as always, I'd encourage you to go really slowly. See if you can even hold so that you're going right to the end of the exhalation. Wherever there's that muscular effort, as in the oblique twist, tummy bottom back to the spine. We've only got a couple more. Stick with it. Fabulous. One last set. So really push yourselves, but with integrity of the spine. So long spine, shoulders down. See if you can, in this last set of oblique twists, get the shoulder up towards the thigh rather than the thigh down to the shoulder. So less movement in the leg, more lift in the upper body for a slightly more intense work. And then hug the knees into the chest, have a little rock on the spine. Let me just check the time. Let's take a figure 4, foot to the opposite thigh. Push the thigh open. And let's take a sway. So gently adding on a little bit of a spinal twist. And breathing deeply. Your hard work's done now. Let's just make sure we leave the body nicely released, relaxed for the rest of the day. So nice gentle sway, tipping all the way up and over and pausing for a moment. We can take the arms overhead and stretch, pressing both feet into the floor, squeezing the glutes, and then taking it to the other side, your other foot on the thigh, ankle flexion, external rotation of the hip. Start with a small swaying movement. So we're massaging the lower spine. Only when you're ready, we take the knee all the way up and over the body, foot to the floor. Breathe in, stretch the arms overhead like a yummy morning stretch. And then separate the feet, distance of the mat, and allow the knees to sway side to side. And last of all, we're going to hold the knees, come up to sitting. Have a little rock on the spine, and then join me in whatever's a comfortable upright position. Everyone okay?
So let's roll the shoulders, hold the shoulders. Sitting up tall, long spines. Think about your vertical line from the base of the spine. Elbows come together, separating the shoulder blades. Elbows up to the ceiling, to the side walls, and then shoulders back and down, elbows towards the earth. Last time. Chin to chest, elbows together, forwards, up, opening, shoulders back and down, arms overhead, deep breath in, breathe out and drop the head to one side, opening the arms wide. Last of all, arms overhead, other side, and then you're done to carry on with the rest of your day, floating the arms down, relaxing the neck. You're done. How was that? Well done, everyone.